welcome to the November meeting of CSHE. This is a high and holy day for me, of a special significance in regards to it's the 400th anniversary of the Pilgrims landing on Plymouth Rock. So that's something there. I'll just leave it at that. But then also, my step-grandfather died 11/11 on November 11th, and he worked in a Buick manufacturing facility during World War One and one of those wars. But he was right at during World War One. He was alive, but when I looked to see him transpire, it was 11/11 on November 11th, and I was blown away. So
wow.
Yeah, and it'd take me 15 minutes to tell you, but we saw him wake up out of a coma after 2 weeks. His stepdaughter, it took her 2 weeks to get home. He was in a coma for 2 weeks. My son and I, we'd read scripture to him and pray with him. And like all he would do is like maybe tighten his grasp on us, and you could see his face flicker a little bit. But when my Aunt Trish came through the door and she was screaming, "I'm so sorry it took me so long," he opened his eyes, sat straight up, and he had to get some saliva in his mouth. But he said, "It is not your fault. Everything's okay. I'm going to heaven. I love you."
Right.
Gave her a hug, and then went and sat back.
All right.
So that's my favorite November memory, or Thanksgiving memory. So as we go around, if you don't know, I'm Jack Wheatley, lead pastor of Greater Grace Community Church, as well as the pastor. We have a great meeting today, in that we're going to learn also about empowering CSHE and extending our message on social media. So, Jared, why don't you do the round robin where everybody introduces themselves, favorite Thanksgiving or November memory, and then we'll get started.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Tracy, would you like to go first?
Certainly, it is an honor always to be at the CSHE house, because this is where I remember when you all went through the early days of CSHE. Can y'all hear me? And that everything that you have done and watched you do over the past 5 or 6 years, I've watched it extremely well. Excited to be here. My favorite thing today is the Veterans Day, which I honor my father, who was a World War II veteran, and my brother, who was also in the service. My father's passed away some 13 so plus years ago, but my brother, who is also in the service, is retired from the service, but living in the western states. So I honor all veterans. If any of you are veterans, I thank you for your service.
Thank you. Bernie, would you like to go next?
Sure. My name is Bernie Bajak. I'm the sergeant of the Elgin Drug Unit. I think I know everyone on here. I'm also going to introduce, maybe my lieutenant can go next, but he's on here. His name's Matt Udelhoven. He is the lieutenant of all investigations, which includes major crimes, special investigations, which is more like street crimes and gang crimes, and the narcotics unit. My favorite November memory, I'm going to just go with, I am a veteran, and I come from kind of what's turning into a military family now. So nothing stands out about a favorite memory. I did lose my cousin, my first cousin, to a improvised explosive device, and that was in November, but it wasn't my favorite memory. So thanks for your service to all veterans. And Matt Udelhoven is my lieutenant.
Perfect. Matt, would you like to go next? Thank you very much, Bernie.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. And I apologize. I came on a minute or two late, so I think I missed the preface here as to what I'm supposed to say about November, so I don't want to butcher that. But I'm happy to be a part of this. And happy Veterans Day. My grandfathers were in the military, or grandfather was in the military. I'm not sure if the November moment was supposed to be veterans based or anything.
It was just any kind of November moment that you enjoy or just something that sticks out to you, just anything in November.
Well, something that I thought was kind of silly at the time, but it's kind of cool now. My dad remarried today on this date, November 11th, and my stepmom's birthday is November 11th. So they got married November 11th, 2011 at 11:11 a.m. at Pier 11 in Tybee Island with 11 of their friends. And I thought that was tacky as heck, but over the years, it's kind of become kind of cool. So it's stuck in our minds this time of year.
Thank you. I'll go next. My name is Jared. I am social media for Coalition for a Safe and Healthy Elgin. I also work prevention for the Eckerd Center for Behavioral Health. I would say November is just, I like November because it's the start of like the holiday season, I would say. You know, you got Christmas coming up, Thanksgiving, New Year's, all that stuff. So spending a lot of time with family. So I would just say November in general is just a good time. Next, Bob, would you like to go next?
Sure. Bob Witt with Elgin Police Department, chaplain and community engagement. I don't necessarily have a November memory, I guess. I mean, it's always good to have Thanksgiving, so I guess I'll roll with that. Jack, we'll have to come up with something, man, that, you know, I watched the movie, It's a Wonderful Life, but we got to come up with something that I can add to the mix here.
You know I keep you on your toes. You got to be on them toes and be ready.
Thank you. Carlos, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Carlos Morales. I'm actually a digital marketing trainer, and I appreciate the invitation. It's a pleasure of meeting all of you. I guess November, it's for me, it's about family. You know, I've been in this country since 1990, so that's 30 years. And the fact now that most of my immediate family is here in the United States, November has been one of the months when we try to get together in one way or another. And so that's the most important thing to me when it comes to family, as we were actually, many years ago, we were actually separated in different parts of the world. And now we actually have come to this amazing country to actually spend time with each other. So that's my November memory or importance in that regards.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today as well. I really do appreciate it. Sally, would you like to go next?
Good morning, everyone. I'm new to your group here. I am the Community Outreach Coordinator, Nuan Centro de Información. I have to say November is my favorite time, November, October. I just love the fall. Greatest memory is probably my last Thanksgiving with my father. He had just cataract surgery. And he was supposed to be protecting his eyes, but my husband wanted to fry a turkey, and he's like, nope, I'm gonna go watch my turkey. I need to make turkey. And he put on big old dark goggles on and sat outside in the garage watching my husband cook. So that was one of my favorite memories that I have of him. But I'm happy to be here. Thank you to all the vets out there, and looking forward to learning from all you guys. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us as well. Appreciate it. Lorena, would you like to go next?
Sure. Yeah, so I don't really have one of my favorite memories. And by the way, my name is Lorena Nunez, and I'm with Greater Elgin Family Care Center. I guess the only thing that I could share is I'm looking forward to making memories. I'm looking forward to um, bringing back some of the traditions like Day of the Dead and celebrating those and just kind of making them a bigger deal than I've made in the past. So I'm looking forward to making memories in that sense.
Thank you. Kathy, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kathy Pava. I'm a community volunteer. I live in Bartlett. And again, I want to say thank you to all the veterans and remember my brother who was in the Army and my grandfather who served in the Spanish-American War a long time ago. My favorite Thanksgiving memory, favorite November memory is probably my birthday is the end of the month, so it usually gets celebrated right around Thanksgiving, often at Thanksgiving, and that was always nice.
Great.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Gil.
All right, thank you, Jared. Yeah, happy Veterans Day, everyone. I'm not a vet, and I don't have anyone in my family who is, but we certainly appreciate all the sacrifice that has gone on through so many years and has affected so many lives. I think, and I'm the Drug-Free Communities Coordinator for the Coalition, so I'm the guy behind the scenes making sure that we have more than me and Jared at the meetings. So I think for me, the most memorable is, it's rather recent actually. I distinctly remember the very first Thanksgiving without our mother. It was a time where we were a big family, really loud and very, just every conversation going on at high levels. So it's always been crazy and memorable. But this one was different, obviously, because she was the matriarch, she was the glue, and we were just a little more subdued, a little more sad. But it was the first time actually that we all held hands. And in addition to the prayer, we actually articulated what we were thankful for. And it was great to hear some awesome memories and people being grateful for her. I found things out about my mom that I didn't even know. So it was a special time. And that was probably about 5 years ago. So that was clearly my most memorable Thanksgiving.
And I think that is everybody.
All right. Excellent. So we're thankful that you are all here. And I just really love hearing how many people are just thankful for those that risk everything, knowing that our country is worth it. And then our special guest who's going to be presenting it for us said that we live in a special nation. So that's just great to hear the thankfulness in the midst of this crazy time. And let's see here. On our agenda today, we do have Carlos Morales is our first thing on the agenda. I mean, this is a special event. One of our we always like to have training that Carlos Morales is part of the TJ group with Tracy. I think that's a spectacular addition for Tracy. And what Carlos is here to do is help us amplify our message. And we know this is certainly, a high priority on our minds, is getting people to know what CSHE does. So without further ado, I want to give Carlos the floor so we can hear about how social media can really help us get our message out. You've got the floor, Carlos.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Carlos, you mind if I do some more introduction? Let me say this about Carlos real quickly. He's a colleague of mine. We worked together when we was overseeing the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA regional training. We were charged with regional training and technical assistance for SAMHSA when we did all the prevention work around the region, covering 10 states, 7 Native American sites. We did that in 2005 to 2004 to 2013, where we ended our role there, and we ventured out and doing our own work. Carlos has an awesome company, and with me, I bring him on board when I see opportunities that he could be of very help. His experience in prevention and wellness technology is very highly recommended. But he also does another array of stuff that he'll talk about as well. And we just finished a nice training for a similar coalition in a community just north of the border in Wisconsin called Franklin, the Volition Coalition. And so we just finished the same, really a longer period. We started out with an intro like this, and then we really worked to enhance their work. And I think what you'll get is a nugget of knowledge today, but hopefully we'll have an opportunity to utilize Carlos more in the future. And so without further ado, Carlos, go right ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate the introduction. All right. So I know that we have only 30 minutes. So I want to make sure that I cover in the next 30 minutes all the information that I have prepared for you. So let me go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. I'm unable to share it. I think the host has to actually enable share.
Yeah, you should be able to now.
All right, so, okay, so let me actually now. All right, so you should be seeing now my presentation. And so do you get to see it on your screen? Empowering your coalition to amplify your message on social media. All right, cool. So I'm gonna start by actually just giving you some stats to give context in terms of what we're going to be talking about in the next few minutes. I know that social media right now, it's a platform, it's a tool, it's a venue that a lot of us actually use to communicate with each other, to gather some news, to even exchange ideas and knowledge with other people. And so from that context, I want to give you some important stats so you have an idea in terms of how powerful this is and how that could benefit your coalition. All right, so let me start by just, as you know, it says 79% of Americans have a social media profile. That's actually not, I'm sure that you're not amazed by this stat, but one of the things that I wanted to highlight, it's the importance of social media. And if you are using that channel to communicate your message as part of your coalition, obviously it is important that we have a strategy behind it. So actually we are more effective in how we do that. And so if you notice in comparison, obviously from 2008, you see the big actually jump there from 2008 to 2020. And we've seen how social media is being used to talk about pretty much anything, right? We just came out from an election season, and we actually were bombarded by ads in terms of your different candidates. And so, but because social media is very powerful in that regards, and how you actually deliver and actually advertise a message. Now, in terms of the daily social media usage, think about how it's being used in terms of the audience that you're trying to reach. We know that about 88% of the people between the ages of 18 and 29, obviously they use social media. If you're trying to reach 30 to 49 years old, that actually goes down a little bit to about 78% in terms of how they use social media. And then 50 and 65 years old, we have about 64%, and then 65 plus, they are using, about 37% of those are using social media on a daily basis. And so that gives some perspective in terms of you trying to target, for example, 50 to 65 years old, you might want to consider actually diversifying your pool or diversifying your social media platform and how you might want to reach them. So obviously, if you're trying to target kids, social media, it's one of the things that you have to do. Facebook might not be the right platform, but there are others, as we'll talk about in a minute, in which you might want to actually gear your content strategy because of the audience that you want to reach. In terms of the daily social media usage, I want to actually give you a sense in terms of the different social media platforms out there and how they're being used. When it comes to YouTube, you have about from 2018 to 2019, look at actually that has grown in terms of the daily use of that platform. In fact, video should be part of your communication strategy. It's great that you have some great posts, but video needs to be part of it because video is more engaging, and Facebook gives more relevance to content that is presented via video versus just graphics and text. Then Twitter obviously is another social media platform, but Twitter, it tends to be for a different type of audience. And so if you're actually trying to target, for example, young professionals, so people that are more activists, or they actually care about a specific cause, Twitter tends to be that platform. Obviously, you have Instagram. Instagram tends to be actually going to a younger generation, right? If you're trying to target teens again, or even young adults between the age 18 to 25, or even 35 years old, Instagram is a great platform to be on, as and equally as important as Snapchat as well, and so on. So these are some of actually the social media platforms that we need to pay attention to. Obviously, there's a couple in terms of the importance as well that I will highlight in a minute. But I wanted to make sure that I wanted to give you this stats because it's important that we put context in terms of what is it that we're doing in social media and the reason why we're doing it. Are we actually using the platform that we're supposed to be using based on the audience that we're trying to serve, or are we just there because everybody else is there? And so let's actually now talk about the top social media platforms. And now that's, as you know, Facebook is the #1. It has 2.5 billion users. And so from that perspective, let me ask you, do all of you actually use Facebook? Do you have a Facebook profile? Is that, you might actually say yes to that, all right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and so if you notice though, Facebook is the platform where a lot of people actually go there to get some information. It has over 2.5 billion users. Then it comes to Twitter, right? Twitter actually has 150 million users, and it's a microblogging and social networking service. You have up to 280 characters to actually say what you need to say. Now, when it comes into Instagram, obviously Instagram, it's more of a video picture app. So if you're visual, if you like to actually consume content in a visual way, Instagram is a great platform for you to be on, right? And you're sharing pictures, you're sharing videos with your friends. Instagram is one of the platforms that is actually widely used. Keep in mind that actually Facebook owns Instagram, right? And so obviously if you are advertising on Facebook, you can automatically advertise on Instagram. And you don't need to have an Instagram account in order for your ad to show on Instagram. So that's one of the advantages that you have when you actually are using Facebook, for example. Then we have LinkedIn. So as a coalition, as an organization, if you want to highlight the work that you've done with other possible funders, LinkedIn becomes the platform for you to be at. Obviously, the audience there is going to be totally different than the audience that you actually are trying to target using Facebook or using Instagram, right? Because LinkedIn is more of a professional platform. It's a platform for other professionals to network and share information and share knowledge. Companies actually use it also to recruit others professionals in the field to actually expand their knowledge base by actually increasing the number of employees that they might have. And so LinkedIn is a great platform in order for you to actually solidify your message among other professionals or possible funders as well. The nice thing about LinkedIn though, when it comes to actually having your content be visible by other people, is that right now, if you are posting on LinkedIn and you don't have that many followers, it doesn't matter. Your post will actually get to be seen by other people. The algorithm right now in LinkedIn is actually really nice, in which you get a lot of views, a lot of traffic by just posting organic content, meaning free content. You're necessarily paying to advertise on LinkedIn, but you're just actually creating content. So right now is a great platform for you to be at if one of your audiences are other professionals in the field or possible funders. And YouTube obviously is a great video platform, but one of the things that I always suggest for organizations to consider having a YouTube channel is not because you want to have millions of subscribers, but because YouTube allows your content to be searchable. Let's suppose that you create a video and the video has to do about substance abuse prevention, or let's be more specific, about underage drinking, for example. If you are creating a small video about underage drinking, and you actually post it on your YouTube channel, but the way that you describe it, it's actually you're adding keywords, you're adding phrases that people will actually use Google for to search for underage drinking, you have a better chance of that video showing up in the search results. So that's the power behind YouTube. It's not necessarily because you're trying to have a whole bunch of followers or millions of views. It's because it's strategically, you're actually placing a video in a platform in which if people are searching for your content will be actually found. Now, keep in mind that Google is the #1 search engine in the world. YouTube is #2. Google owns YouTube. And so from that strategic point of view, that's one of the things that I always recommend for a coalition organization is like, let's start creating some good video content. It's also placing in YouTube as well and Facebook too. All right, so then we have also now WhatsApp and a Snapchat. Now WhatsApp, it's a platform that you use to, it's more of a texting, you can send videos, but it's a platform you actually use to actually even talk to people, do some calls as well. For example, I use WhatsApp because I have friends outside of the US in which we actually talk, and so we actually do some video phone calls or just voice calls. I can send videos to them, I can send texts, I can send pictures. So WhatsApp is a great platform if you actually are trying to target people that are heavily involved in using that specific app. Now, there's a business side of WhatsApp which allows you to actually even advertise within the platform as well, which is really nice too. And so would that make sense for the audience that you're trying to reach? Maybe not, but I wanted to highlight it because it's another communication app that is being used right now for a whole of, by big brands in order for them to actually promote their services and products. And then we have a Snapchat, 280 million users. Think about it, when Snapchat came out, it was cool for the young audience. It was cool for teenagers because there are a whole bunch of filters that actually came with the Snapchat. So you can actually do a video and you can actually add some glasses, add a hat, you can actually change a whole bunch of stuff about the video that you were seeing. But here's what happened. A lot of people that actually were on Instagram, they were fleeing Instagram to go into Snapchat. So what did Instagram do? They said, we cannot allow our people to actually leave this platform. We have to actually create some of the elements that Snapchat has so they can actually stay within Instagram. And that's what they did. They started actually copying a lot of the filters that Snapchat offers. And that's why a lot of people, Instagram is actually is a heavily used platform and it has more users than a Snapchat. So as you know, when every new platform comes on, what they actually are fighting for, it's our attention. And so if they get our attention, if they have a huge user base, basically they are the platform that is dominating at a specific time. So Facebook, because even though, throughout the years, it has gone through a lot of changes, it's still the #1 social media platform. Obviously, in terms of engagement levels, if you're trying to target teens, probably Instagram, it's a better platform than Facebook, all right? Now, here's another one that actually I wanted to talk to you about that probably you have heard quite a bit, and it's about TikTok. Have you heard about TikTok? And let me ask you, and if you might want to actually just, use the chat box if you want, but TikTok, have you ever personally done a TikTok video? No? All right. If you go into TikTok though, you can spend hours on that app and you can waste a lot of time. You want to actually waste time, go into TikTok because the videos are engaging, right? But the videos are also being used to educate other teenagers in regards to substance abuse, in regards to sex, in regards to relationships, in regards to mental health. It's amazing. So that is a great platform for you to be at if you're trying to target teens. And so the examples that you see here in this slide is basically we have, doctors, psychologists, sexual health educators talking about different type of topics. And they use the different level of engagement that TikTok offers for them to deliver a message. And so the videos are between 30 seconds to a minute long. And so basically, because the videos are very short and deliver a very quick message, they're more engaging because you're not asking people to stop what they're doing for many hours in order for them to consume your content. It's straight to the point, but it's funny, it is engaging, there's music behind it. And so that's the cool thing about TikTok. Now, remember that I mentioned that Snapchat, when it came out, it had a whole bunch of cool filters. And Instagram, what they did is copied also, Snapchat. Well, Instagram is actually trying to do the same based on the success that actually TikTok has had. And so I'm mentioning this because obviously at the end of the day, we can be of any type of platform, but what actually makes a huge difference, it's content. If your content is not engaging, it doesn't matter which platform you're on, it's not gonna work. So let me actually just show you something really quick here. So as we're talking about, the different ways that we are creating content, what is it that you can do as a coalition to start pushing content out and making sure that you're engaging with the audience that you want to target, all right? So let me actually just go here really quick. All right. So basically, when we talk about message amplification, it means this: just taking a message or content generated by a person or organization and selecting the best communication tools or platforms to ensure maximum reach to the identified audience. You're already doing that. You're creating content. You have a Facebook page. You might have an Instagram page as well. Maybe you have a YouTube channel. You are pushing content out, right? And based on the audience that you're trying to target, you are selecting the platforms that in which you need to be at. Now, there's nothing special about that. It's just creating content. The key here, though, is that as you are creating content as a coalition, is that it's everybody else in the coalition actually sharing that content. It's everybody else in the coalition actually commenting on that content. Because if you're hoping for your audience to engage with you, but your coalition members are not, then actually we have a big disconnect. And so you, as a coalition member, have the power to actually amplify the message. And so the buying needs to come from inside rather than expecting everybody else outside of the coalition to come and say, oh my God, this is good. And so that's when the message amplification concept comes in place. Because then what happened is when we're talking about message amplification, we have to talk about social distribution. Now, social distribution now, it's about promoting your program, whether it's online or offline, by using social media. We use our website, we use our email, we use newsletter, we use print. It's about social distribution. You're using different channels to push a message out. Now, if you actually are promoting content in social media, then my question is, okay, how heavily are you using for example, your website? Are you sending traffic back to your site if there's actually good enough content in which you need to dive in a little bit deeper so your people can go back to your site and explore what other services that you provide? Or are you just social media as a standalone marketing strategy without necessarily actually tying it to the other assets that you have in this organization? For example, if you are targeting parents and you are trying to promote the concept of underage drinking and the importance for parents to know about it, that's great that you are actually using social media. But the next question that I will ask is, well, do you use email? Have you been collecting email addresses of parents that might be interested in actually having a better relationship with their kids when it comes to drugs and alcohol, when it comes to sex, when it comes to all these different topics that parents usually struggle with? Do you have a way for parents to come to your site and subscribe to that, so you are on a regular basis delivering good content? Because here's what happened. If we don't actually put energy into that, then we'll keep actually just sharing content on social media, and then we're hoping that they actually respond to it. But we have no strategy on our website to still collect email addresses from those parents, because you know what? Email, it still works. I'm a parent. I have 2 kids. I've subscribed to organization newsletters that I think they're relevant for me and my kids. And I do consume the information. Obviously, if you are asking parents to subscribe, it's not about you spamming them and just sending an email whenever you feel like it, but it's about sending them content that I actually provide value to them. And not necessarily every day, but on a regular basis, So you still maintain that relationship. You have to be strategic about the type of content that you are creating. So those are some of the things when it comes to social distribution, think about it. Besides social media, what else do you have on your end in which you can still promote the message? Now, let's talk a little bit, Ben, about what it means to also have social amplification. We talked about now social distribution. Let's talk about social amplification. That is the message that you have actually pushed out, but now you have other people promoting it in your behalf. Whether are your employees, your partners, coalition members, stakeholders, community members, influencers, whoever it is, now you have a group of people pushing that information out in your behalf. And that's the goal. As any coalition or other organization is to have, it is about having a social amplification strategy. If you don't do that, here's what happens. You're actually just creating content and you're doing all the work. But if the content is not engaging enough, then obviously it's not being promoted by anyone else. And so that's part of the reason why we do this, is because we want to make sure that it's not only you, but you have a group of people who's actually helping you in pushing that information out and having that conversation with you as well. All right, so let me actually now talk a little bit about, in terms of the power of online, when we talk about the power of online message amplification. Now, one of the things that I want you to think about is that social media allows for you to have a two-way dialogue or conversation, right? If I look at your Facebook page right now, do you think I'm going to see that? Or do you think it's more about people just maybe liking your content? Or do you think people are commenting on your content? Because if people are commenting on your content, that is great. That's what we want. And we want you to comment back and acknowledge that from them. But if they're not, if they're only actually just maybe just seeing it, liking it, but nothing else, then we need to actually, revise our strategy and say, okay, how do we engage people? Because what's happening is, according to Facebook, less than 6% of your followers get to see your content. And what happens is, if your followers are not engaging with you, that number tends to actually go even lower. So that's a reality, that's the fact. So that's why we actually need to have a strategy in place in order for us to engage our audience, all right? And so the other two, you can build an online community and turn them into prevention advocates. I've worked with other organizations, and what they've done, they have created Facebook groups, in which each Facebook group has different topics. For example, there's an organization here in the Twin Cities. It's a Latino organization. It's the largest Latino organization in Minnesota, which just actually redesigned the website by a full bilingual website. But they use Facebook a lot, and they use YouTube quite a bit to actually provide good content. And the engagement level is through the roof. But also, they have created different Facebook groups. Facebook groups that have to do about gardening, Facebook groups that have to do about finance, Facebook groups that have to do about having communication with your kids about sex, drugs, and alcohol. So they actually have developed all these different Facebook groups. You know why? Because we're in a pandemic. And so they're not seeing now people anymore like they used to, and say they put all the efforts using technology. And they have been very successful. It wasn't easy at the beginning, because even for the clients, the people that they serve, the community, obviously they had to start changing their mindset a little bit because they were not used to do that. But because they're being consistent and persistent, now they're seeing the results by actually the community embracing the technology as well. So that's when we talked about building online communities, is about using the technology that you have at your disposal to actually invite others to become, to be part of a group, and then start talking about a specific topic for that particular group. All right. Again, you can target different type of audiences using social media. Staff, partners, and stakeholders can amplify content like we have talked about, meaning that you, as coalition members, sharing the content, liking the content, commenting on the content is key. And then only that though, Facebook actually gives you, in real time, it gives you some stats. So let's look at some of the things that you have done. So I grabbed some of the posts that you have created, and I want to have a sense from you. And see if those posts actually have created the type of engagement that you think you wanted to actually create in the first place. So let me actually just move some things around here. All right. So let's actually go and look at, when we talk about your Facebook metrics. Here's one of the things that when we're talking about Facebook, what are the things that you need to look at? You need to look at the post reach, meaning that how many people actually saw the content that is related to your Facebook page. That's the number one thing that you need to look at. So if you are the administrator of your Facebook page, obviously you get to see that number, right? How many people did we reach by this particular piece of content? The other thing too that you actually need to look at is the amount of interaction that you get. How many likes or how many reactions? Because now you can actually like something, you can put a sad face, you can put a smiley face. These are reactions. How many comments and how many shares? That is important because this is actually the total number of interaction tells you whether your content is being engaged in or not. So let me actually just ask you now, I'm gonna actually just jump into this one. You have actually posted this on your social media, on your Facebook page. Now, let me ask you this. When you posted that on your Facebook page, and this is something about what parent needs to know about underage drinking, what was the goal of you posting that content on your Facebook page? What is it that you wanted to achieve? You can certainly actually use a chat box, or you can actually use you can speak as well if you like.
Someone said to make parents aware, Carlos. That's what someone has said.
Yep, to make parents aware. All right. Okay, so to make parents aware. So besides that, was there any other specific goal? Did you want it to, by making them aware, you just wanted to push the information out and see how many people saw it? How do you know we actually parents were being aware by that content?
It was more of a, because I feel like, because I mean, I still consider myself young, right? 25. I think a lot of parents don't know a lot of the things that are going on. I think they might say they do. I think a lot of parents aren't up to speed with all the social media things. So yes, maybe this could have been addressed better, but I think it was just information for them to get to understand, because I think there's a lot of things out there that parents don't know. I mean, I know my parents. I mean, my parents are in their 50s and they are not up to speed with all the social media stuff. They're not up to speed with the drinking stuff. I think whatever they grew up doing and knowing, I think that's what they know. And yes, they pick up on some things here and there, but I don't think that they're completely up to speed, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. This is more of an educational post. You wanted to make them aware, but you wanted to educate them a little bit about what underage drinking is, right? So Nicole is, highlight and bring the phenomena and consequences to parents. Yes. And so, but let me actually now tell you, I'm going to give you now the stats of this particular post, all right? And then we'll talk a little bit about what that means. So that particular post actually reached 107 people, all right? You had 4 reactions, meaning that in this case, you had 2 likes here. You have like a 1 wow, and so basically, and you had 1 share, right? And so this is the reaction that you got. Now, based on the number of people, you might want to think, well, okay, so I reached 107 people. Maybe what we need to do, actually repost this again, but give it a little bit of a context so I can actually increase the number of people that I reach, because I saw that I got some traction out of it. Now, for the most part, what's happening is you're actually putting the information out, and that's great. But I would like to invite engagement in that content. I would like to ask questions about the information that you're putting out. The other thing too, you can actually create a short video explaining the important pieces of this graphic too. Because now the topic reached that many people, you actually can reach even more by dissecting some of the information and expanding a little bit more in a different type of format, all right? Now, let's go into another one here. This one is another post that you have, you were promoting it, I think in behalf of another organization here. So was there any expectations when you posted this on your social media? Was there, okay, we're just helping somebody else to promote this event? Was there a specific goal behind it?
The goal for me, I mean, when I posted that, it's a partner of ours, and we wanted, or actually two partners of ours, the coalition members that are doing events that we're just participating in. And given that it's a first time event, just want to make people aware that it's happening, that we're participating. And we did add a little quick intro about stop by and say hi, just to let them know that we're there, and a little personal, whatever.
Right. Sure. So let me actually then show you, because you were promoting this partner's content, your partner actually also shared that content from your page based on the stats that I saw. So what that actually did, it basically obviously allowed you to reach more people. So you reached 882 people based on these posts, right? And you had 11 reactions. So you had a little bit more interaction in that regards. If you wanted to even expand this a little bit more, you can. But obviously what makes the difference here is because that particular partner that you were actually promoting this for, that partner, what it did, they shared that content too. And so based on what I saw on the stats. And so obviously the point that I want to make is when you as a coalition member are sharing your content from your coalition, that obviously maximizes the number of people that you're reaching. So when I'm talking about empowering you as a coalition, the message that I want to deliver is that when you start seeing some of this content and you think that the content is relevant enough for you to share it with your own audience, do it, because it makes a huge difference. Rather than just, waiting on the coalition itself just to see how many people react, you have the power to amplify that content too. But not only that though, when you share it, give context to what you're sharing. In other words, don't just share it and don't put anything, but actually give a little bit of introduction in terms of why is it that this is important and why should your followers should pay attention to that. Because if you do actually give context to it, you are elevating the importance of the post. But if the only thing that you did is just share, that's what it is, just to share, right? So the context gives more power to the content that you're sharing. That's why it's important that we also do that as part of our coalition communication strategy as well. Let me actually now show you another one. All right. So this one, it's in Spanish. We're talking here about the flu shots, right? And so obviously you're talking about myth and facts on this particular content. Now, you share that, and this is actually, you reach only 25 people, right? And you might say, well, we only reached 25 people because the content that we're actually promoting here was in Spanish. So obviously the number of people that we reach was a lot less because probably most of the audiences that follow you might not be, bilingual, right? I get it. Now, but let me actually show you this same piece of content in English, right? And let's look at the stats. You only reach 26 people, right? So there's not much difference into one versus the other. But what I'm saying is this: if you wanted to actually even elevate the message a little bit more about this, you as a coalition member, I would even ask coalition members, let's actually share this among your followers. Let's comment on the post itself, because here's what happened. When somebody actually comments on this, we want to acknowledge that. So if somebody even likes the post, we want to say thank you, so and so, for liking the post. Hey, we appreciate it if you actually want to share it with your friends as well. You are inviting engagement. When you do that, Facebook makes a notice of that and say, oh, there's a little bit of engagement here. The Facebook page responded, and then the follower responded as well. So that is huge in terms of what you need to do as you are seeing some of this content being displayed. And so one of the things that I want to make sure that you understand is that you have the power to amplify this message. Just by actually doing what I just told you right now, you will see how your stats are going to improve quite a bit in terms of the number of people you're going to reach. And when you invite engagement, make sure that you also do that as well, so your engagement level actually is a little bit higher. All right? Okay, so any questions, comments so far?
Yeah, I mean, I know you kind of touched on it, but I'm just kind of verifying it. I mean, in general, like I understand it's not always easy to do because we're a coalition, right? We're not just a person sharing like photos and stuff, but generally photos, videos tend to do a lot better than just this, right? I mean, that's pretty much common sense, right? I mean, so is it still okay to post things like this? I know you're saying, we need to have more people share it, like it, comment, things like that. But I mean, if nobody is seeing it like this, I mean, is it pointless for us to do if not really anybody's going to see it, or try to get into a video if it can be? I mean, I guess that's kind of my question, if that makes sense.
That is a great question. That is a great question. Here's part of it, actually, what the answer to that. First of all, one of the things that I always suggest, you got to have a strategy plan. In terms of the strategy plan, what that means is basically you gotta be actually very honest with yourself in terms of who is the audience that you want to target on your social media. If parents is one of the audiences that you actually want to target, one of the things that I would suggest that you do is like start listing topics that you think parents might be interested in actually learning about. Once you do that, then you start creating content based on those topics. Now, when you do a graphic like this, it's not pointless. Here's what happens. What happens is, because your engagement level right now is very low, so the amount of people is gonna see your post organically, it's gonna be very low. So one of the things that I would suggest is that, because people tend to digest information in different ways, so for some people, looking at a graphic works well. For other people, actually watching a video works even better. So what I would suggest that you start thinking about creating content in different formats. You can actually do the graphics, and then you can do a short video. Canva, for example, is one of the tools, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, and I'm just gonna type it here in the chat box. But Canva, it's a great tool. It's free, so you can grab it and start creating some very cool short videos in which you don't have to be on the video, but you can actually highlight different pieces. It has some really nice effects. And so you add that to the mix, but also add a paid strategy. In other words, in Facebook, sometimes you gotta pay to play. And that actually makes a huge difference, because right now your engagement level is very low. I would invest a little bit of money to maximize the reach. So in other words, if I want to actually promote this post, I will tell to Facebook, I want probably 25 to 45 years old parents of teenagers actually look at this post. And you can target them based on that criteria. And you can pay about $20, in which you are actually spending about $3-4 a day for about a week or so. And that will maximize the number of people that you reach. Now you're being strategic. Now you're spending money on the audience that you want to reach, because this post makes sense for parents. And so that's part of the strategy that you probably need to have in place. So this is not, it's not even wasting your time. It's that we don't have a strategy in place, and that's why we're missing the mark. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I mean, we have promoted for like events and things like that, and it was a significant upgrade in people that saw it or commented on things like that. And I think, like you said, maybe just doing it on other posts as well, not just things we have going on, but something like the underage drinking thing, so more people can see. I mean, that does make sense. So yeah, I get that. And I think kind of like what you said too, the different channels, because I mean, I'm not saying we get 50 likes on Instagram, but we generally get more interaction with the likes. And usually when I post something that is interesting or something like that, I tend to get 2 or 3 more followers in that next week. I mean, I think you're right. It just depends on the content you're putting on each social media page is important.
Yeah. One thing that I would add, and I'm almost done, is basically make sure that when you are creating a post, be clear in terms of what is it that you want to achieve. Is it, I want to reach 100 people? Is it, I wanted to generate at least 3 comments? Do I want to generate at least 2 shares? If that's the goal, then you position the content for you to achieve those goals. Because otherwise, if you don't have a goal specifically for that piece of content, then again, you're just posting, but there's no reaction, no strategy behind it. So that's one thing that I would suggest that you think about. So,
thank you.
Sure. So, one thing is, I have 2 more slides, and I'm going to actually end with this. In terms of increasing engagement, I want all the coalition members, I would love to see you, is actually sharing the content that you see on your coalition page. Because when you actually are sharing it, now you're maximizing the reach, and Facebook looks at that. Okay, so make sure that you're actively engaging too as coalition members with your own content. Because if you're not, it's going to be very hard to sell that message to people outside of your coalition. So be engaged with the content as well. Obviously, use Facebook Insights. That's the parts where I just show you some stats, and so that's the part where you start looking at how well our content is doing and give you some real numbers. And they keep it short and simple. when you do videos, for example, if a video is between a minute to 3 minutes, that's great. You don't want to, unless you're doing a Facebook Live and you actually are expanding and you're probably doing like a 10, 15-minute video on Facebook Live, which I would suggest that you think about doing that as well, because that is highly engaging too. And so you prepare yourself before you go live to, exactly what you want to accomplish and the topic that you need to discuss. But again, video needs to be part of your communication strategy. And then you actually keep it short and simple, right? You catch your audience's attention and make them engage with your post. Now, you have to focus on quality instead of quantity. You can post every single day, but that doesn't mean that you're reaching people or reaching the people that you want to reach every single day. So reply to your followers' questions. Right now, because you're not having questions, that doesn't matter. If somebody like your post, hey, you say thanks for liking the post. I appreciate it. Could you mind sharing it with others? If you think this provides value to other people, make sure that you invite people to actually share your content. All right. So be more active in regards to that. You actually are asking engagement from your audience. You need to engage with them first. And so that's my final piece of advice in this very short presentation. There's a lot more, obviously, that we can certainly cover if we actually do this into a more in-depth technical assistant training like we've done with other coalitions. But I just wanted to give you an overview, tell you what the possibilities are and the things that you can start doing right now as a coalition. So thank you, everyone. And if you have questions, I'm here.
And what I want to do is let you all realize that although COVID is here and COVID may be moving on or whatever God has intended for our lives, we know social media is here to stay, and even more so now than ever. And so a lot of the tools that can be used and utilized is always helpful for the work that we do in coalition work, substance abuse prevention work, any kind of work we do. We can do it in connecting with our audience. So thank you, Carlos, for presenting this opportunity, and I'll pass it back over to the chairman pastor.
All right. Thank you, Carlos. This is very timely information, and we really want to capitalize it, not only for the coalition, then additionally for our individual members. I know 30 minutes goes by really quick, and there's only so much that you can provide, but what you did provide, I think it has shown us that we really need to bind together. We read in scripture that 5 will chase away 100, but 100 will chase away 10,000. But I think what Carlos is saying, we're not chasing people away in terms of fighting. We're gathering people in the fight for information and for truth. So what if 5 could gather 100, but 100 gather 10,000 so that they would hear our voice, and then it would be amplified. So, Jared, that's definitely something that we'll get on. And then if anybody has questions, I mean, we've got Carlos here right now. I think what I hear, the most important thing from Carlos is that engaging content that's quality, and that we make sure that we bind together and ask each other to share it, and then be on top of things and comment when people react.
I think that's super important as well. I mean, I thank you for this, because there are always things I can work on always. And I just think that sharing thing is important. Like, even I'm even guilty of it. Even my own Facebook page, like my personal one, I can share the things that I post, and have the people that, are friends with me see it. And I just think, for example, like the police department, when they share something that we post, it gets a lot more things because a lot more people are following the police department. It's just like whatever agency we have that has a lot of people and that, are respected, right? I mean, obviously the police department is very well respected and things like that. So when they share something we have, it really is nice because we get that, we get a little bit more involvement and things like that. So.
All right. Very good. Is there any questions?
A quick question for either Tracy or Carlos. Do you guys know of any other coalitions across America that have really nailed this social media thing down?
Yes, there are several who actually are very active on social media, and obviously they have some good results. Obviously, there are some that actually have a lot of money, in which they invest quite a bit in doing some social media advertising. But the reality is, and this is a fact, because the myth tends to think that you have to have a lot of money in order for you to do something really good with social media. But the fact is you don't. What you need to have is strategy. Once you have a strategy, you have a plan, then you know exactly what resources you'll need. So if Gil, if you actually need some example, I can certainly email you some of those examples, and then you can check them out. But yes, there are other coalitions doing some great work, but they're using video. That's one of the things that that's one of the things that I want you to get. Video needs to be part of your communication strategy. If nothing else, just get this, bro. Video needs to be part of your communication strategy. Video, it's what's going to take the social media presence to the next level.
And using those examples that Carlos talked about, in terms of video, are the keys to that. And there are several coalitions, but not many, but there are several that have done it. So that's an opportunity.
Carlos, if you know of any that target seniors, which is one area that we're noticing is really dropped off for us, you have any information on that? If you could send me that, I'd appreciate that.
Sure. If you don't mind actually putting your email in the chat box, that'll be.
Oh yeah, sure.
That'll be great. Okay. I'm actually gonna copy it before I leave, so that way I have that information here. Yeah, I can certainly send you that as well. And then if any other questions, just feel free to actually just send it to Gil. Gil, you know how to reach us, Tracy and I, and so forward that to us, and we'll be more than happy to provide you the answers to it.
All right, very good. Thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you, Tracy. I always love to see how Tracy attracts movers and shakers, and so he hasn't let us down here in this regard either. So thank you so much, Tracy, for this time. And you guys are certainly welcome to stay, but we certainly put you at the top because we know your time's important, and you won't hurt our feelings. But so good to have you a part of the meeting here. And,
all right, thank you.
Yeah, it's like having family back, right? So
yes, always.
Shout out, big hugs, and all that good stuff.
Yes,
so
yes.
We'll
all right.
See you soon. All right.
All right. All right. Take care.
Thank you,
all
everyone.
Right, so here's.
Bye-bye.
See, so exciting parts of our meeting here are our reports that we have currently. We've got, it looks like 4 of them here, and the executive committee report is first at bat. So looks like Gil put me in the brackets there. So I'm gonna talk a little bit to you about the executive committee, and we met last Tuesday, and I mean, certainly with COVID-19, we're looking at the impact of what it has done. I mean, our coalition, by virtue of our mission, we have to be social, and we, traditionally we've allowed that to be predominantly face-to-face a lot, and we have to get ahead of the curve, or get in the greenhouse, so to speak, of the wave of this social media, and capitalize on that. So there's some things that we're looking at doing to include podcasting, and I think what Carlos had said to us here just reinforces a lot of what we need to do, is to have content and to have good content. So this is one thing that's in the works that we kind of tried a little bit to do with Facebook Live, and some weekly Jared, I don't know what you called it, but Jared was having just a weekly Facebook Live session, and he wanted to give people that were part of the coalition an opportunity to get shouts out too. And whereas Carlos is saying video works well and it's important and it gets good extension, the participation of our helping get CSHI's word out, as well as our individual members, Jared didn't see much buy-in, and he thought that maybe people thought that they didn't want to be seen on social media or, timid or whatnot. So that's one thing that's on our mind, and we will talk more about that, I'm sure, soon. Maybe a little bit later, we get in detail. I'm just giving a report. So that was one thing. Additionally, because of the corona, we've had an interesting, we passed year 5 and now we're on year 6. We've started year 6 without officially being funded by now the CDC, because Samson no longer does it. So there's this whole shift change as to who's granting or giving out the grants. And then additionally, because of the virus, the actual work that's being done from the new agency, things are delayed. So we're in an interesting time period here with our funding sources. But the good news is that through the frugal management with Tina as our treasurer and the things that we were doing, we are on a path now where we'll be able to make year end and hopefully hear some good news about our funding sources, and that we'll continue our grant. And actually, we're in a position where we have to spend some money on some assets. So I don't know, Gil has a little bit more of a handle on that. And so when he gets to his DFC coordinator report, I'll let him maybe expand on that. And then additionally, it being now our 2nd month in of our new fiscal year, there's a lot about what we are doing on our action plan and wanting to find ways to have buy-in from everyone in the coalition. We were encouraged by the great response for the Red Ribbon Week. So I think Gil said he had a lot more participation of that, or in that. We had more CSHE members taking a part of that activity. And what we really want to do is foster where these are great activities, fun activities, where we want to get the word out and then actually learn more about each other and then actually do the work of our individual, the places that we represent, right? So I think we've came up with more new ideas, and so we're excited about getting more buy-in, but then people getting in and actually getting their elbows dirty, their dirt under their fingernails, and then get engaged. So we'll talk more about that as well. And I think that was what the executive committee met on, and we look forward to this year and getting our action plan completed. So with that, Jared, if you have some information for your STOP Act and then the sober truth on preventing underage drinking, you've got the floor. And wait, unless anybody's got, if there's questions about the executive committee and the content that I talked about, like, I should be available for questions, so. All right, sounds good. Go ahead, Jared.
Sorry, what was that? I'm sorry.
You have the STOP.
Yeah, so there's not a whole ton going. I mean, I think after this thing today, I really want to sit and, if anyone wants to join, but at least I'll probably meet with Gil and Jack about the plan. I know, as you said, Jack, I did try to implement the whole video thing. I know that, you joined and, I went on myself for a couple of times, and I think that actually went well. I think it was a start. I don't know, where it goes from there, but I just think, there's a lot that was here. There was a lot that I did know, but there was also a lot that I didn't know. So again, after seeing this and writing down everything, just kind of going to go back and just reevaluate, in a sense, and just, change up things. So hopefully we can get that engagement that we're looking for, so we can, keep going on the right path, but just get better. So that's just kind of where I'm at right now with that. So
I think it's important to note, everybody know that the STOP Act is no longer part of our funding. So at the end of September, we had our last bout with it. So we typically get $125,000 from the DFC grant and an additional about $47,000 from STOP Act. That's almost 50% more, but we just lost all that. So we no longer have STOP Act being funded, which is causing us obviously a little bit of a this musical chair moving around, but that's important for you all to know. We don't know if or when we're going to apply again for another STOP Act. STOP Act is for us to have extra funding to focus on underage drinking only. It's not money to be given for any of the other drugs that we address. So we'll keep you posted on that, but you all do need to know we lost almost 40% of our funding as of the end of September.
All right. Well, it looks like you're up to bat, Gil, with the drug-free communities report. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I was waxing eloquently. You missed it all. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate it, your patience. I assume everybody can see the screen, but if not, please let me know. Health Resource Fair, this is the first time we're involved with it. I do believe it's the first time they're even doing it. There will be associated with this a turkey giveaway, but they're kind of downplaying that in terms of its advertising of it. But it'll be on the 21st of November. That's coming up for a couple hours at Wing Park. We do have a spot there. There's only just like 5, maybe 6 tables. We're one of them. So people will just be driving through. We'll be giving them packets of information, and then they continue to drive.
Let's roll.
Jared, could you enable my screen sharing, please?
yep, you're good.
All right, great. So we had the mayoral proclamation for Red Ribbon Week. Lisa was there with Jack as well as Jared and I. So we received the mayor's proclamation for Red Ribbon Week, which was great opportunity to kind of spread the word of what we're doing. The other thing, here's a quick, very, very short slideshow on Red Ribbon that occurred on the 24th. So that was just just a few shots. We did get some great press on Red Ribbon, which really I'm really excited about because I think last year was almost nothing, and the year before that the same. So we're really excited. There is a new reporter, Elgin reporter. Can you guys still see the screen? I assume, correct?
We can. Yep.
Okay, because it said it was disabled again. And so this new reporter that's covering Elgin events now gave me a call. He was a photographer, and so I think we had kind of known each other from before then. And he reached out because now he's not only a photojournalist, but he's also a writer. So I think that worked out to our advantage. But it went really pretty well. And so here's the quick bit of the stats. On that day, we had 23 volunteers. It took us about 45 minutes, and there was about 450 sold ribbons, maybe 460. So there was a lot of ribbons there and a lot of help, which was fantastic. We really appreciate it. We came back, obviously, at the end of the month to remove them all. And at that point, there was probably 9 or 10, mostly youth, that helped take those down as well. And took us even probably less time than that. So it was really well. We got plans for next year, possibly doing all 4 bridges. There's just some logistics there. But anyhow, it was really good. For those of you that I was really excited with the CSHE help on that. Thank you all very, very much. It was phenomenal. I was really impressed by your participation and help. So next year, the October 23rd, it starts all over again. So thank you, everyone. So the CIA, some of you gotten an email from me. It's not that, right? It's the Coalition Involvement Agreement. And I really do need those back. If you haven't given them to me, I will be happy to walk over there and give you a printed version so you can sign it and I can move on. So please, if you haven't done that, it's a requirement for the grant. Given that we can be audited anytime, it won't look good if we don't have it, but we're not audited often. So in some ways worry about it, in some ways don't. But please get us in if you can. Thank you. I need your input. I know there isn't a whole lot of folks left, but 2 membership slots are available for the Elgin Hispanic Network. That's a month, typically a month in luncheon. Obviously, they're not really physically meeting now, but I'm a member and we're allowed 2 more. Is anybody interested in being a member of the Elgin Hispanic Network since we have 2 slots available?
Gail, I'm interested, but I, for some reason, think that Senor Jaime submitted my name already, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, if you want to check, Sally, feel free to do so. And if not,
Yeah.
you can have our slot.
Okay.
So awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll check with him.
Okay, great. Yeah, Centro's allowed 3 members. So I'm sure Jaime's
Okay.
1, and I don't know who the other 2 are. And but if not, be happy to help you out there. That'd be great. Another piece here is we really need a school represented on our coalition. Anybody have any ideas? This could be private or public.
So that's something we definitely need to work on, is finding school sector.
I'm sorry, I do have a name, but I went totally blank. Someone I'm working with, actually from U46. I'm totally blank on her name right now that I've been talking to and working with. Submit that name when I remember it.
Okay,
All right.
that sounds great. Yeah, just getting with Gil on that. Anybody?
Yeah.
We want a game plan. Just brainstorm and then invite them. So.
Thank you, Sally. Appreciate it. Question I had is, who's missing as part of? Are we missing somebody? You guys should be thinking like you kind of have an idea, but is there somebody that should be at our table that's not? That might come off to your mind right off the bat.
Well, I just think somebody within the schools is what I think.
Yeah.
But I know that's easier said than done, but.
Yeah, no, which was the point of the bullet point above it.
Yeah.
Well, Gil, I know we've got like the Boys and Girls Club a part of us, but organizations such as the Boys and Girls Club, maybe YMCA, we're wanting to impact and have a direct access and with the youth. And so this is why like the school or any of these other like young person organizations, I think they're integral to us getting our message out and our exposure. And then maybe, is there any type of like parental organizations or organizations that help parents out? Maybe we seek those. I mean, I don't even know which ones off the bat, but yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I don't know if any, thank you, I appreciate that. Anybody else, any ideas specifically, if you know of any parent groups, any PTOs, PTAs, booster clubs? All right. We probably don't have enough people to really discuss the next 2 questions, so I'd like to skip them. But I'd like you all to be thinking of what should our coalition be doing more of, and maybe what do you think we should be doing less of? So keep that kind of tucked away in your old noggin, and maybe we can discuss it at our next meeting. And that was my report for this month.
Very good. All right. So next on our agenda is item number 4, the consent agenda. I trust everybody's read the materials, and I now ask if any of the items should be moved to the regular, or if we want to discuss them.
No, Jack, we need the Bernie's police report.
Oh, shoot. Bernie, I can't forget about you. You still there,
All right,
Bern?
so you guys had asked for a drug report?
Yeah.
All right, so what I did was, let me go into my email here. And we had a undercover that tested positive for COVID related to a deal. So he was out, and I'm looking for, because I talked to my task force guy after he gave me his last monthly, and I can go over kind of what's a drug trend and what he believes. So he works with a lot of the, he's actually assigned to the DEA and does a lot of deals with Mexico and cartels and things that come through the, over the border and that. He's a Elgin police officer, but works for the DEA. He said the price of cocaine has gone way up because the supply is down. And I asked him why he thinks that. The other thing he said was heroin, the price of a kilo of heroin has come way down. Cocaine's up and meth is down. I asked him to explain why. We're seeing a lot more meth in our city now. And he thinks it's because of a couple things. They're picking off a lot at the border, but Mexico's now growing their own poppy and producing their own heroin. So they don't have to get it from Central Asia or the Middle East anymore. And it comes up through the same supply line as the cocaine. Also, the meth, they're able to make on a massive scale down there and move that up. So he's getting kilos of meth for when he's buying them. I want to say I think he said $8,000 to $9,000, where they used to be, closer to 16. Heroin is down to about 31,000 and cocaine's up to about 41,000. To give you I can't really discuss what he's done, but they've done big seizures, over 1,000 pounds of meth coming in the last month. So that's just his group. So that's what we can expect to see is more heroin, more meth, and the demand for cocaine to go way up. That's just locally, but that's the Chicagoland area.
Wow. Thank you, Bernie. That's eye-opening.
Yep.
All right.
And just one last thing for Bernie. So will you let us know, or at least circle back around, if some of the growing use of meth ends up in more and more in the hands of youth, possibly?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I told you before, it was a lot of the times we're buying ecstasy, which is a club drug. The tests are coming back as meth. So when they either produce meth, which is way easier to produce than ecstasy or MDMA, when they produce the meth, it's a lot cheaper, and it comes in crystals just the same as MDMA. They're very similar, but MDMA requires a different chemical reaction in order to produce. So they're taking meth and putting it into the pill presses and pressing, presenting it as MDMA, but it's actually meth. And the cost to make meth is way lower, and people don't really notice a difference. there is a difference, but it's chemically so similar that it reacts very similar, and people just think it's a different type of ecstasy or whatever.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I think that they do that mostly because of the availability of meth and profit margins. But that's a trend that we've seen for almost 2 years now.
Well, let us know if there's anything you think the coalition should probably do kind of preemptively on a preventive level to get the word out about the dangers of meth to the community. I'd love to help with that if we can.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry about that, Bernie. I was just so excited about this new concept of utilizing this consent agenda to just go right through the minutes, because I know everybody love just going and reading through the minutes and taking out precious time from our meeting. But so with this consent agenda, we have the executive committee minutes, our normal general committee minutes, and then additionally our financial report are the current contents of our consent agenda. And what we do is, if there's no movement to discuss any of these three items, then I could just move right now to adopt these items in the consent agenda. All right. Hearing no objections, hearing no ask to move them to a regular discussion, I ask if there's anybody that would like to move to accept the consent agenda.
Jack,
Also move.
okay.
Did I mess up, Gil?
No, we need a second. We need a second.
And does anybody second or move? I think Bernie was jumping in.
I keep forgetting I'm on mute. I'll second it.
Okay,
All
so
right.
now with the discussion, yeah, Jack, just a point of order with the consent agenda. You as the chair, when it comes to consent agendas, and especially since our bylaws don't prohibit it, you can move on any motion. You don't have to wait for somebody, just so you know.
Oh, okay. So I can first a motion then?
Yeah, you can say I motioned that, and you need a second. But okay,
All right,
especially
so we
with the
just did
consent
that.
agenda.
We just did it. Very cool.
Awesome.
We have an open floor at this time. If you have any specific events or things you'd like to talk about, now is the time to do so. And by virtue of already having the mic and the floor, I guess I will jump in first. And I had a Christmas store committee meeting last night, and someone asked me, well, have you talked to your Sishi group about taking part in the Christmas store? I was like, holy cow, I was remiss in my duties of propagating the great message of what the Christmas store does. So what I'm going to do is ask Gil. I'm going to send him like what the Christmas store is and then how to get involved. But essentially what our church does is we partner with other churches as well as Fox Valley Christian Action. I should talk to them about being a Sishi member, Gil, because they do interact directly with the youth. So boom, hello. But what we do is we sign up families that are under-resourced, and then what we provide to them is a store where rather than, paying full price for a toy, they buy it at $2 rather than $20, $40, $80. All right. So what studies have shown is if you just hand people something, then that breeds an entitlement type of mentality, but that also it depresses their ingenuity, it depresses their drive. So if they can say, I bought this for my kids, it actually helps them out. So actually, Bernie, Officer Sproles helps us out every year with the Christmas store. So the EPD actually takes part in some measure. But what we would like is if anybody would like to volunteer, it's December 5th is the Christmas store. And that's just helping clients work through the process or shop. What people could do additionally is donate by form of gift cards or even donations directly to the church in like check form or whatnot. You're able to help so that we then have Christmas gift buying team that then goes out and buys these gifts. Because what's happening now in the month of November is mothers are signing up, and then based on the kid's age, we know how many kids, boy or girl, in each age bracket. And then the buying team goes out and buys suitable new toys for those age groups. And so it's a great activity. And you know what? I'll send Gil like the video and then how to get involved, and even a one-pager on it. And man, if we could get this amped up even more, it's our Greater Grace's second time hosting it. And we've been involved in it for years. So we really want to help people out. So that's, we're taking donations till the end of the month, and then it's the first Saturday in December, which is December 5th, and I'll get that information to Gil. And thank you, everyone.
Awesome.
Hey,
Yeah.
Jack,
Yes, sir.
one thing that I don't know if you've thought ahead on, my wife and I do another one through, it's the, like what's happening in Elgin and all that. It's their marketing group. They have one out of St. Charles, and they can't do like the gift wrapping and the things like that. They can't even have they have a shop. It's out of Excel Auto Group, and they bought, or they got the space next to it, and they use it for this charity. And so they're having trouble with, they can't get people in there to wrap because the health department won't let them.
Right. So traditionally what we did is we had gift wrapping teams, but that is a way that we've had to modify our Christmas store. So what we've done is more spacing of when people go through our whole thing. So, just talking, that's like implementation of the Christmas store, but we are adhering to the Kane County recommendations of how we implement Phase 4 of the Restore Illinois plan by the executive order of the Most High Governor of the People's Republic of the State of Illinois, Governor Pritzker.
Hey, easy.
But so we're at stage 2. They kicked us back this week.
Well, what I heard was, so this is what I need to understand too, is like, I got direction from Kane County Health Department, like every Wednesday they have like a meeting, and what they said is that it was Phase 4, Tier 2.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Right. So we're not going back to Phase 2. Like Phase 2, we would all be on lockdown, but we're technically on Phase 4, and then there's just a second tier. And then I heard something where now they're changing things where it's going to be color coded, so yeah. But
I just wanted to make sure that you were good with that. You can send me an email of what you guys do.
Sure.
And I can distribute that.
Sure. Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I know that we're kind of, yeah. Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to say? Events happening.
That's a good
way if she partners with that. That's a good way to get publicity too.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was gonna ask Gil if we could, like, we have like a gift packet for each mom, and if we could have like something Sishi related that they could put in there, then it kind of gets the word out. So yeah, I mean, we'd love that, or whatever interaction Sishi could have. So yep.
Awesome. I just wanted to thank Sally for joining us. It was your first meeting, and recently met her and her counterparts with Centro Información. Sally, if Centro has anything going on, now's the time to share. If not, not a problem. You can always email it to me.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Yeah, again, for letting me join. I've learned a lot from hearing all of you speak today. We don't have much going on because everything is by appointment only, of course. What we are trying to hold is very strict flu clinics, at least. We get a certain amount that we have scheduled for a certain day. And then we've been able to partner up with one of the hospitals or VNA to come in and do flu shots. So right now I have one going on this month, but that one's in our Hanover Park office. And then we'll probably try to do a blood pressure one at Centro in Elgin. So, but I'll let you know when that one's being take place. We haven't totally locked down the date on that one. So
Awesome.
fortunately, we can't have a lot of going on. Although I'm not sure, but I think we're going to have an immigration session. But that one also is by appointment. And I don't know if the slots have been filled already. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Sounds great. If there's any others, speak now or hold your peace till next month. All right. So Gil shared in our chat box the link for our evaluations. And I believe the evaluation link is additionally on our original email about today's meeting. No? Okay. So it's just in the chat box, but it's important for the constraints of our grant or our action plan, and then just so we know how you evaluate these meetings and what is better to have or what is better not to have in our meetings. And so we'd appreciate that if at the end of this, you just hit that link in the chat box and do the evaluation. Otherwise, thank you so much. We'll be in touch with email, and we appreciate your time today.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Thanks.